I think we have a lot of stringent laws as well, like CRZ.
Don't talk about it.
There's always that fear कि अभी कुछ होगा.
Till the time you don't have your CC issue,
Right.
जब तक FSI का डर रहता ही है कि कुछ ना कुछ कहीं ना कहीं कुछ कट जाएगा.
कुछ ना कुछ unforeseen होने वाला है. And imagine, in spite of all of this, 50% of buildings in Mumbai don't have an occupancy certificate.
That's true. That's true.
What kind of technology do you think will totally disrupt real estate?
I think everybody these days talk about AI.
Do you think some robot can come and just build buildings?
I don't know. I see that happening in the next 5-6 years.
Do you see construction workers getting replaced by robots?
I think so. I think so.
Purely from a construction standpoint, how does a builder reduce his construction cost smartly?
I think it's just management, and management. There is nothing else.
What is, according to you, one of the biggest mistakes a developer can make?
Biggest mistakes, I think, to go on hearsay. A lot of new developers would depend on their consultants or would depend on their friends. You cannot depend on somebody saying that this plot's title is fine, or this project mein 40 male ki building banegi. This is not, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes most of the developers make, because of the lack of knowledge, the lack of proof of work, what they do. I think you should be really thorough and only then enter the arena. Otherwise, you're better outside.
Guys, it's an absolute pleasure always to talk to first generation developers and builders in a city like Mumbai, because there are so few of them left. It's extremely difficult real estate as a construction industry, and today's guest is a self-made developer and builder in Mumbai who's made it from scratch, and that's what makes this episode of Real Estate Show with Mayank so special. I'd like to present to you Rishab Jain. Guys, it's an absolute pleasure always to talk to first generation developers and builders in a city like Mumbai, because there are so few of them left. It's extremely difficult real estate as a construction industry, and today's guest is a self-made developer and builder in Mumbai who's made it from scratch, and that's what makes this episode of Real Estate Show with Mayank so special. I'd like to present to you Rishab Jain. Hi Rishab, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having
and taking out time in the middle of the day for doing this. By the way, we got you something.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
He's coming up.
Should I keep it here?
Yeah, please. How you can? I'll just help you. I'll just keep it down here. And that's something that I wrote.
Wow.
So I just thought of.
Lot to learn from it.
I hope so. I mean, you already know all of it as a developer.
Right.
So, Rishab, you're actually one of the few self-made first-generation developers in today's time,
sure.
Right? It's extremely cluttered and difficult.
Sure.
But, can you walk us through your past? How did you get into real estate?
So, in a small background, my family always dealt, in land tradings, in Maharashtra and etc. So, after my studies, I really wanted to do something on my own. I had that entrepreneurial spirit in me at somewhere, which I think, real estate has really taught me well. And then, as time passed, so then we thought that, might as well, start developing these lands instead of, just selling them and try to make some more money out of them. And that's when, I incepted this company around 2010 under the brand Living Stones. And since then, we didn't look back. We have been working and working and working.
Lovely. I mean, difficult industry to get into?
I think it's difficult is an understatement for this industry, because it just does not it is not like a trading business, or it is not like any other business that probably I can compare it to. It is like, if you can do real estate in India, I think you're versatile enough to do any kind of business in the entire world.
Yeah.
Because that's what it takes you through. Because this is the only business which I believe in which you need to be good at everything in all aspects. Like when you have any kind of business, you would be probably dependent on your tax consultants, you'd be probably dependent on your legal advisors, and the work is split up. But in this, at the end of it, you need to be good at legal, you need to be good at compliances, you need to be good at constructing the building, you need to be good at everything.
Everything.
You need to know the know-how of everything, and only if you know that, then you're fit to do this. Otherwise, even if one doesn't match, you're not going to sail through.
And such high stakes, you can win big and lose big as well.
Yes.
There's so much money that's there to be pumped in.
It's a capital-intensive business.
Right,
It's
absolutely.
a capital-intensive.
So Rishab, what part of real estate do you enjoy the most?
I think it's initially I didn't understand what I'm enjoying, but right now I think it's the challenges.
Right.
So that's become the part of my life, in terms, to face these challenges every day,
Right.
in every way, every department. And I think these challenges keeps me motivated, to get up, come to office, and find a solution to them, and then take things forward.
Right.
If something comes too easy, I think it's not valuable.
Right.
Somewhere. And if you see anything in the world, whichever is valuable comes expensive, or it needs a lot of hard work.
Right.
So I believe that if you work hard, this is this is the right industry for it. But if you are from the easy mindset, this is definitely
This is
not for you. Yeah,
Correct.
it's definitely not.
Absolutely. You spoke about challenges, right? What, according to you, is the most challenging thing in real estate, especially for a first generation builder?
So first, I think the foremost thing is the start of the entire process is the acquisition of the land. So being, Bombay, there has been, this city has been settled in the last 200 years. And so all the titles, all the land documents that you see, they have a history of, they have a chain of documents which are coming down by 200 years. So you need to first be really sure. You should have a good set of lawyers in terms, as well as yourself, that the title that you're buying the property is correct or not. So that's the first challenge where it starts. The second, while buying the property, the feasibility of the property. It is not like other cities in the world where if the plot which is here, the opposite plot also would be having the same values, same metrics. So if this building has gone 35 floors, the other building will also go 35 floors. In Bombay, because of some plots coming under Mahara, some plots coming under societies, some plots coming under different regulations, all the plots have different feasibilities. So you would probably see this building going up to around 20-25 floors. The plot just adjacent to that would have a feasibility just of 12 to 13 floors. So don't you can't go on hearsay. You can't go. You need really good consultants on your side, who guides you, who gives you good feasibility projects, and who have a good know-how of the entire subject. And once you have that, then you can buy the plot. So I think those are a few challenges. I still feel that in terms of approvals, it has got a little better than what it was back in 2010-11, where it was. Things have got computerized and everything. So I won't I won't cry like the other builders that approvals are still very tough. This that. I think it's something that we chose to do.
Right.
And if you were not ready to do so, then you shouldn't have done it.
Correct.
But at the same time, there are various compliances which can be complied. Like, for example, when we are taking an IOD for a project, so to achieve an IOD, we would be getting somewhere around 25 to 30 compliances done to get an IOD. The moment we get an IOD, it's a big thing for a developer that he has got the IOD for the project. But little do you know, but once you have the IOD, there are a list of 49 more compliances to achieve the CC.
Right.
For that.
The British system is still there.
It's still there. So, once you start, compiling those, small compliances, the pain about that is that, you have to run through different wards, different departments, the tree department, the sewerage department, the water department. So I believe, in the future, if this can be centralized in some manner, So, and the permit system can be combined. So, it would make this a little less challenging.
Right. Do you see a single window clearance coming up anytime?
I think it's difficult in Bombay with the way it goes because there are a lot of jobs to be given and a lot of people need to make
Yeah.
money. So it's
Correct,
difficult.
correct,
I don't see that happening.
Speaking of that, do you find real estate shady?
Real estate. So let me ask you: are you accustomed to drive in Bombay?
Yeah,
So it's like if you can drive in Bombay, you can drive anywhere in the world.
absolutely agree.
So if you can make a building in Bombay, so you can make anywhere in the world. So it is just about getting used to a certain aspect of the industry. So it's like, so the reason I gave you that example is that if you can drive in Bombay, it's just getting adjusted to it.
Right.
So there are environments which are some good side, which are some wrong sides to it, but by time, like, we are used to it. And sometimes I have my friends and my wife's friend, and she will ask me, her friend will ask me that what do you do? So I said, I'm a builder. You're a builder? Are you a builder? So, yes, I'm a builder. So it's really tough, and
Right.
this is what we live with.
Right. Now, my next question is, Rishab, for say a young graduate who's just probably 22, graduated out of college, and this is where I want your honest answer, right? With, say, someone with no political backing, no financial wealth, no background, how does he become a developer today?
I think the description you gave is fit for a broker, and it's not for a developer, because without capital, I think, let's keep political also aside, but without capital, it's very difficult to get into real estate, big time or even small time, until unless a developer does not have the funds up to the second or third slab, which means that he should have the funds for the land acquisition, for the permissions, all the premiums that he's paying, and at the same time, construction cost up to the second or third slab. Until unless he doesn't have that much money, I don't think that they should get into any of these things. What I can also suggest is that, or what I could also think of, is that probably to in this industry, I think both, even if he has both of it, a political background and a finance, I think still he will not do well.
Very well said.
Yeah, because I think that this industry needs experience. It needs a hell lot of experience, and this experience only comes with time. So probably his first project or something would be a sacrificial project where he learns everything, and by the second project or third project he learns. What he could probably do is that be around successful people, who are already in this industry. Do some internship with such kind of people. Try to understand the kind of stress they go through. Try to understand the kind of business they go through. Once he gets a fair idea, he would know that whether he makes or he breaks.
Right. And how hard is it for people in the industry to get funding?
To get funding, this industry is not, definitely not like how we read on our startups and stuff like that, he just got an idea and the company is burning money for the last 2-3 years, and he is still getting millions and billions of dollars. People don't bet on this industry. People want to see what you have done. People want to profile you, what you have done. Forget investors, you won't get a single buyer if you don't have a track record, in terms. So in this industry, if you need to gain any kind of momentum in terms of finance or fundraising or, investor potential, this can only be gained by, proving your capability over time. And it is not that, I think this is the only industry that even a bank doesn't fund.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So even a bank doesn't fund, yeah. So it's like, you can imagine that to the extent that how difficult it is to. So it's only the thing that you make 1-2 projects, you have a good profile, you earn a goodwill in the market, and that's what this industry is totally dependent on.
Yeah, like you said, the first project you'll do will be sacrificial, right?
Right.
That requires so much passion.
Right.
Right? I'm willing to spend 4
So
years.
I don't think it's about passion. I don't think it's about passion, because when you're deep into it, you're deep into it.
Correct.
And then you need to get out of it.
Correct.
No
You're
matter,
so
you don't have a
committed.
choice.
Correct. So 0 to 1 is extremely difficult.
It is extremely difficult.
Right. Do you have a favorite type of project?
I love redevelopment projects. I don't think it's a favorite of many developers, but I think our progress of our company is where it is because of my tenants.
Right.
Right? Because I'm the kind of person, or as a company, we have always interacted with tenants directly, understood them well, and just not taken care of the buyers who we are selling it to, but also to the people. So by tenants, I mean the existing members.
Right.
And also to the people who we are giving back their homes to.
Right.
So that, I think, was something that really worked in our favor. And we share very good relations with all of our tenants, who we have even given possession to long time back. And with that kind of reference, in the industry, or in different buildings, most of my projects which come to me are at because redevelopment projects don't have that much initial capital, because the land cost is not that much.
Correct.
That is only on your goodwill and on your past record.
Right.
These are the two criteria that any redevelopment projects comes to us.
Right.
So because of most of my previous tenants whom I have delivered to, so because of their hearsay and their commitment towards my brand, I have got majority of my work.
Right. How do you identify the right redevelopment project?
It's difficult. It's difficult. It's very difficult. I think there are a lot of costings and there are a lot of analysis. We are very passionate, when we are picking up a project, and we'll have architect stamp feasibilities, and we will have everything in place. We'll have the entire costing, PMC's costing, everything is in place. But jo paper pe hota hai, at the end, that's a different story altogether. So it's like, we are very passionate about how to make the elevation, this, that. By the end of it, it's just about completing the project. So all that. So in terms, I feel that it is personally for me, it is the vibe of the land, of the project. Second is the most important thing is that whether it will sell or not, whether the stock we make will sell or not. What is the surroundings out here in terms of in terms of the others, like in terms of the other inventory which is already available in that area, and at the same time, I think it's just your gut. I don't think it's
right.
You just have to go with your gut.
Has it happened where your feasibility reports have gone for a toss?
It's happened many times.
Many times,
yeah,
right?
it has happened many times. But I wouldn't blame my architects also for that, but I would blame myself also for that. So that's what I said, that it all comes back to experience.
Right.
So this process is a self-doubt process, that you have to keep doubting your own decisions to make it better and better and better. So if there is anything that you're missed on to, or so if there is a plot which has come to you, and so like as developers, or at least in my office, we get at least 2 proposals a week.
Right.
And from that, we would be at least picking up 2 projects a year. So like from around 100, 150 projects, we are just filtering out around 2 projects that we eventually do.
Right.
So it's not that everything that comes to your doorstep is going to take you through. But at the same time, whatever comes, it should not be that you at the end of it are dependent on external consultants and stuff to understand that what is the viability of this project. You should have at least that basic sense, that basic knowledge of what the DCPR is, what kind of FSI can be generated in this land, what could be the selling rate, and whether it makes sense. I think till that process is not done in our office, we don't even go to a consultant. First, it should be internally approved that,
Correct.
with all the checks, and then that same feasibility and everything is verified by our consultants,
Got it.
which has always
So self-study first,
Self-study
and then
first, yes.
go to
It's
the
very important.
consultant, basically.
Yes,
Fair
yes.
enough. And what is your take, of just redevelopment happening in Mumbai? Like, where do you see this whole redevelopment trend taking real estate in Mumbai?
I think it's great. I think it's great because most of these buildings, like if we talk about the 12 or 13,000 cest buildings which are there in Bombay, so if you see most of the room sizes are like 150, 140 square feet, and there are around 6 to 7 people, a family, who are staying in that particular room, with having common toilets and everything. So these things were made 40 years, 50 years back. I think everyone, at least at this point, deserves a basic lifestyle.
Right.
That is, I think, my topmost priority from everything else. And I think that's the government's priority also. And that's why government has been, opening up so many FSI, so many FSI potentials, relaxations, premium relaxations in terms of boosting this entire development. Plus, if you see, majority of Bombay is now connected after the coastal road. So whether you see Bandra, Bombay, Worli, Bombay, sometimes earlier we used to have a meeting in Bandra. We used to say, "Kal karte hain, parso karte hain." It's like now we are excited. Okay, we are coming because we get to use the coastal road.
Right,
So
right.
it's like the entire connectivity and everything is much better. And there is a lot of, I think there is no horizontal exploration left in Bombay. Everything is vertical.
Everything is what?
Everything is vertical, and as time flies, I think everything will sooner or later get redeveloped. For some reason, I feel that we always feel, even back in 2015, 17, 18, we kept feeling that there's too much stock coming, there is too much stock coming, there is so much surplus.
It keeps getting absorbed.
Yeah, but it just keeps getting absorbed because I think the stock market's doing well. India is positioned well globally.
Yeah.
There is FDIs, like a lot of money is coming in the country. So, and a lot of people are inclined to Bombay also. It's a dream city.
Right.
And I think a dream
It's
city.
India's New York.
Yeah, it's
after
India's
all.
New York. So, and it's quite buzzing.
Right. Fantastic. And do you have, like, ideally, how much profit margins should a developer be making for a project in Mumbai?
I think there is no fixed answer to that because that would totally depend on the project's feasibility. On some projects, we end up making, if our land acquisition cost was good and everything, we would end up making somewhere around 60 to 70% also on a period of 3 to 4 years. Otherwise, on a normal instance, it would be ranging between 30 to 40%.
And so, have you ever thought, why take this headache for 30%? Because that much the stock market is giving.
So that's true, but everybody wants to. So even I invest in the stock market, but everybody wants to invest in the stock market when everything is hot, and nobody wants to talk about it when it's bad.
Correct.
So
Easier to talk about what's already happened in the market.
Yes. So it's like, if the same time, if today I think Nifty is about 25,000, if same thing was under 18,000, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
That's true.
So, but when you compare this to real estate or to gold, that is something which is a mindset which is always here to stay. And it's kind of a business that, I don't think can ever die. Other businesses can have fluctuations. Other businesses do make 30 to 35%, maybe 50%, maybe 60%, but they have trends. They have their own times. Like stock market right now will be giving you 25 to 35%. Can you guarantee me that next year it will be giving you? It can't.
Can't.
It can't. You can't
Absolutely.
guarantee.
And here you feel more in control. It's your own business.
And also, like, we have our projects in Altamont Road, Breach Candy. When we started these projects somewhere in 2018, 2021, the rates which were going on out there was somewhere between 85,000 to 1,10,000 RERA carpet. Our projections of 35-40% profit was based on those rates.
Right.
Now there is nothing selling less than 1,50,000, 1,40,000. So there is a little bit of luck, there is a little bit of hard work,
Right.
and
I'm sure there's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Combine all these things, then
Right.
so you do. So it's and at the end of it, we do what we got to do. It does not matter at the end of it that what returns you're giving. For me, it's passion. For me, it's
Correct.
passion.
Correct. Speaking of Altamont Road, right? What would be the construction cost difference per square foot between constructing a building in, a luxury building in Altamont Road versus, say, a mid-segment or rather affordable housing building in Dahisar?
I think it won't be much, but I think the difference would be somewhere roughly around 1,500 to 2,000 rupees
Per square foot.
per square feet on construction cost, on your buildable construction cost.
Right.
Uh, the cost varies on the buyers out here and even the tenants who are redeveloping. Forget the buyers first, let's talk about the tenants. They are very well educated about what they want, what building materials should be there. So, they would say that, you need to put JSW or Tata or a branded steel. You can't put rolling or Avada steel.
Right.
So that's a direct 10 or 12 rupee difference, per kg.
Correct.
On your this thing, which is on your project cost, which is almost like 200, 300 rupees.
Right.
Then there are a lot of things. You need to put branded windows, which ranges from 1,500 to 2,000 rupees per square feet. Out there, you can get the same, you can install windows from 300 to 400 rupees. So, plus the RMC cement, most of our developments now we are using high quality, high strength cement, which is M60, M70, which is like, so all these things are more of specifications, basic specification standards, which are needed in South Bombay in terms to, develop a project. I don't think those standards have reached to the suburbs or extended suburbs, I would say. Suburbs is also doing really well. I would say to the extended suburbs, and because of these things, around 1,500 to 2,000 rupees is the normal average cost, which.
Do your clients in Altamont Road in that segment prefer bare shell units?
Yes, and I prefer to give them bare shell units because with them they are all HNIs and it's very difficult to understand each and every one's taste. And whatever we make and the salvaging of that material when they break it and when they have to remove that from the building, the entire building gets damaged some way or the other. The staircase gets damaged or something like that. So it's always better for such flats which are above 15 or 20 or 25 crores, I would say above 20, 25 crores, is that has to be given bare shell.
Correct. It also gives them the flexibility to play around.
As builders, we would put an Indian marble worth 300 rupees a square feet. But these guys would be putting 3,000 to 4,000 rupees square feet Italian marble. Right. You will never, a builder will never do that. It's not possible. He'll never do that.
Now, Rishab, what's the difference in construction cost on square foot between constructing a, say, 12-floor building versus a high-rise, a 60-story high-rise building?
It's huge. It's huge. So, one of the reasons it is huge, so like your argument would be that we are still building 60 floors, so he's getting that many units to sell. So what is he's going to make that much money comparatively. So, but it is not like that because with India's NBC guidelines and the DCPR which is currently there, anything which goes above 21 floors, it requires double staircase. These services entirely changes. Right. The basement services, the fire tank capacities, everything changes. Even the lobby outside the house on each floor, the width, the aspects, the fire lifts, everything changes. Right. Now, when you add up all these things, your buildable common area besides the RERA area that you're selling multiplies to twofold. So, for example, if you have a 12-story building, so if you have like 10,000 square feet of RERA to sell, your multiplication factor means your construction area won't be more than 1.5 to 1.6 times. Right. So, in terms, you would be developing around 16,000 square feet of contracting area. Right. But if you are developing a high-rise building, this will go minimum 2.4 to 2.6 times. So if it is 10,000 square feet, you would be developing 24,000 square feet.
Right.
So it's quite a lot. So if the project is
So from the regulation point of view itself, it becomes more expensive.
Yes.
Not just the technology point of view,
No.
not just the construction technology point.
Because the kind of service requirements, the CFO requirements, you know, you can say the brick pressure tanks, the service flows, the basements, everything, and plus the foundation and everything. I'm not even getting there.
Yeah, the actual construction.
I'm not even getting
yeah,
there. So all those things, so it's a huge difference.
Right. Any number you would have in mind on a per square foot basis between the two?
I don't. So you can do a good quality construction. I would have another opinion for that. That you can have a good quality construction at the same rate for a 12-floor building also, for a 60-floor building also. But where it gets expensive, it actually gets expensive on the increase of the construction area,
Understood.
which is there. So the cement costs the same, the steel costs the same. You know, everything costs the
regulatory
same.
bit,
But because you know you have to give that 2 staircases of 2 meter wide, you know, you have to give an extra common lobby, you have to give those service flows and everything. So because of that, the construction area increases.
Fair.
So that is.
Now, Rishabh, purely from a construction standpoint, how does a builder reduce, his construction cost smartly?
I think it's just management. There is nothing else.
I think which is why you had come up with that software of yours.
This is where we came up. Like, because I think in any business as such, management is very important. But out here, we are not talking about small numbers when it is coming to this business. Every order that you place of any raw material is worth in lakhs, you know, which is getting consumed in the building. So I think the management for the entire project is highly important, and if you want to make it as efficient as possible, try to try to source things directly at the best price possible from different vendors to get you, like, you know, the most optimum this thing. And when those things reach your site, it doesn't get wasted. You know, it's not considered in wastage, but you know, to make use of the maximum stuff. So, and all these things, as I said, it just attributes to one word, which is management. If you have this thing, you can manage it well. And that's where we got Stallion in. So in 2017 and 18, so it is my, you can say, like, I'm eccentric when it comes to, you know, organizing things. So whenever I face any kind of problem, I would like to not repeat that problem again, whether it's done by my staff also. And we started maintaining Excel sheets, you know, started maintaining protocols in our company that, you know, if this happens, you have to do this, you have to report this. But it was still not, it was still not followed for a long time, you can say, you know. It's like it could be followed. Today I'm angry, they will follow it for 1 month, 2 months, and then after 2 months again, then they are in their merry-go-round. But so that's where Stallion came in. And like, for a basic, very simple thing is that, you know, while you are submitting your plans and the IOD and what's the approved layout, when you're constructing, so many things are there what you don't see on the blueprint very well. But when it actually constructs, you know, you see, oh no, this duct would have been a little smaller, you know, this wall could have been little bigger, this column is a little thicker, it should have been little reduced. So all those things are on site that we do. And then these changes are told to our consultants, and then our consultants would basically give the new working revised drawing to our site engineers. Now, it's a very simple thing which 50% of the people, 50% of the developers face in Bombay, that the site engineers are not in sync with the latest drawings of what the architect has issued or what your consultant has issued. So what Stallion does is, you know, so we just came up with the idea of making just one basic module, you know, where you have your 0 to 20 slabs of a 20-floor building.
Right.
On each slabs, you have 5 sets of drawing. And on this application, all the members, all your consultants, all your teams, all your engineers, everybody is there on the app. So whenever a new drawing is updated on the app, and the whole team is in sync with that particular drawing.
Right.
So like these, there are so many challenges that we kept on facing, and we kept on making module by modules on Stallion, whether it's sales, whether it's RCC, whether it's purchase management, whether it's contract management, you name it, we have it. So,
I mean, fantastic work with both, I think, Stallion and Reolink, right?
And Reolink.
If I want my regulatory dose,
Yes.
the regulatory pill of the day,
Yes.
you just go to Reolink.
Right,
And,
right.
very, and it tells like, that you can tell that the founders and the co-founders are not tech guys first, they're real estate guys first.
Right.
I can totally tell that, right?
Right.
And my next question to you is, real estate generally is infamous for adopting technology last as a sector,
Yes.
holistically.
Yes.
Do you think there's still some developers, or rather what percentage of developers do you think develop projects without using an ERP or any kind of software as such?
I think 80%.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. 80%
Wow.
I think don't develop with softwares.
Wow.
That number has been significantly decreasing since the last 1-2 years. And because of the new generation which is stepping in. That's what I feel. Like most of Stallion customers is also backed with new generations in terms. So I think they want that change, and we as we are used to our phones. We don't understand papers,
Right.
hisab,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
those things.
yeah,
We
yeah.
want quick things are
Right.
quick. So I think it is just a matter of time which these things will get adopted. It is just because this industry, prop tech overall in India is slow. And I think even in terms of technology companies, it has the least amount of technology companies in prop tech. If you see
Right.
education or if you see commerce, everything, there are so many startups.
Right.
But in prop tech, if we sit down, we can count.
Yeah, how many there are and how many are.
Correct. I think it's just about a matter of time, but like at the end of it, if I or you, we just delete Amazon from our phones today, I don't think we can survive.
Yeah.
We can't go to a store, to our general store, speak to that person,
Impossible.
get that thing and come back and give him change, this, that, GPay nonsense we can't do.
Right.
So I think that thing still needs to be hit in the real estate, which I foresee in the next 5 or 6 years would be the use case in the same manner how Amazon is necessary or Uber is necessary. I think in the same way, even companies like Stallion or other companies, who are providing construction softwares would be a necessity in
Right.
all the companies.
Right. Apart from, what kind of technology do you think will totally disrupt real estate?
I think everybody these days talk about AI.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think some robot can come and just
Yeah,
build
so
buildings?
that's what I was
and-
getting on to. Is like I think AI is not, because like we know what we are doing. Like we know with Stallion what we are doing, how we are using AI, how we are this thing. But I think AI is not the answer for real estate completely. For real estate, I think for other businesses, AI does real wonders when it comes to e-commerce, when it comes to anything video on demand business or groceries or anything.
Right.
But for real estate, I don't think AI is enough. AI needs to be packed with robotics, and like once that combination is there and such equipments start coming out or such equipments start coming up with robotics, for example, right now we have a crane, on our on every site we have a crane which is like a 40-50 meter crane. Now what if that crane could work on robotics powered with AI? It would exactly, if you could feed the blueprint to the crane, where it would understand that which corners, which beams have to be done, how it has to be done, where the concrete needs to be poured. So you imagine the kind of man hours which it would reduce in terms of automating.
Right.
So there are things like 3D printing. Like 3D printing is also kind of a semi-robotic kind of a thing, but in terms it is not the fully the actual robotics. So
Right.
now if you see these days in China or US, now we are actually seeing human figure robots coming out. And now like we feel that okay, somewhere or the other, like our housemaids or our house servants are going to get replaced
Right.
with with them. So I see that happening in the next 5-6 years.
Do you see construction workers getting replaced by robots?
I think so. I think so.
Right.
I think so, because there are so many things which are already implemented, on site. So with the current new lifts, the current new crane systems, and the new technology, the pumping systems of RMC and everything, the labors have already reduced. It is not that it is something which is going to get reduced. All those things have already got reduced.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to ask you, how hard is it to find skilled labor today's time in the construction space?
Is very difficult, because at this point of time, the kind of work which Bombay is going, the kind of development which is happening, like if you have a one late day of payment or something, they have options open. So
Wow.
so it's like you really need
So there's more demand for
there's
skilled
much more
labor than
demand.
supply
There's
of
much more demand.
skilled labor. And what were the, at least for you, right, in your experience, what were the different kind of challenges you faced at a construction site?
At a construction site in Bombay, it's basically, so I have worked a lot in South Bombay, specific to. So I think probably my problems would, South Bombay developers would relate to more. But it has been always more frequent on the supply of ready-mix cement and steel on our sites, which is the most basic thing for construction. So it's like you pay premiums in crores and you get your IOD and CC.
The government is a sleeping partner.
Yes, and you, so around 25 to 35% sleeping partner.
Right.
And then you come back and you give RERA a deadline that in 3 years I'm going to make this project, and that RERA deadline is, all your buyers are relying on that RERA deadline. We are confident on that RERA deadline. But then after having all these things, still for most of South Bombay roads, they are all VIP roads. So from 10 o'clock to the night till 10 a.m. to night 10 a.m., there are no heavy trucks allowed. So you can't have RMC trucks.
Right.
In neighborhoods like Altmount, Breach Candy, Malabar Hill, you cannot work after 9 o'clock up to 8 o'clock in the morning. So basically 24 hours you cannot work. You understand? So
Right. So who makes the building?
So 24 hours you're not allowed to work. But somehow, some way, we keep managing. But to stick to these deadlines with such kind of regulations is unfair.
Right.
Is unfair.
Yeah.
I think if you are making us pay these kind of premiums, if you are making us gives these kind of commitments in RERA, in each and every sale agreements that we sign with our buyers, then that kind of frequency of work or fluence of work should be given to a developer.
Right.
In terms, like we are not even allowed, like in other cities, like when we talk about Dubai, US, like any of these cities, like I have seen even the most poshest area, like Business Bay or Times Square or any of such places, you're still allowed to work at night.
Right.
It is just that you have to maintain a certain dB level, but
Right.
you're still allowed to work at night. It's out here, it's only in Bombay that you have to shut work. So we literally have 8 days, we literally have 5 days in a week to work, 5 to 6 days in a week to work. And then from August onwards, we have these line of holiday which goes up till December. And then you expect us to complete a project in 3 years. It's not possible. It's bullshit.
Correct. Absolutely.
It's bullshit.
And India is being so diverse, there's so many festivals.
So many festivals.
Really crazy to get work done.
Yes. And we still need to sponsor them.
And absolutely. But very heavy premiums.
Yes.
Do you see that reducing anytime?
I don't think so.
No, the builder lobby is not, I think.
We try, but then there is a new premium introduced.
Oh, so it worked against your.
So we try, getting something else maintained, but then there is a new premium introduced. So previously, like the CFO premium was not that much. Now the CFO scrutiny fees before even getting the IOD approval is so much, which runs in crores at this point of time, is a lot. So you stop somewhere, another tap opens. You cannot control everything.
And imagine, in spite of all of this, 50% of buildings in Mumbai don't have an occupancy certificate.
That's true. That's true. But I think I think that is something what the government should really relax on. If I think they should not, be tolerant. The government should not be tolerant about compliances like fire safety and all those things. if you have a fire OC, if you have, you know, the old tenants OC, if you have those basic necessities, then I think the government should relax the premiums and should let them take an OC.
Right.
So at least even the developer is not willing, so the society can contribute and just get the building
Right.
and OC.
Some amnesty scheme and just let them go,
amnesty scheme
basically.
or something. You know.
Right.
So something probably, you know, if not through a developer, if a society makes an application, so the OC premium could be reduced.
Right.
You know, something in those manners it could be done. So I think it would be much better.
Right.
For the industry.
Besides, I think we have a lot of stringent laws as well, like CRZ. I think.
Don't talk about it.
No, I think we're the only country in the world that has CRZ laws, right?
Yes, yes.
You know, I recently came back from Europe. People literally build on the sea.
Yes.
There.
Yes. So, and it is not about these days. You know, there's this entire buzz of society redevelopment. You know, every second building, at least in South Bombay, you know, is talking about redevelopment. Now, what? Firstly, what people don't understand is that, you know, every development, every project has its own status in terms of its FSI, in terms of its premiums, and because premiums are linked to ready reckoner, every project just gives you a different number. It is not the same at all. Some projects are in CRZ, some projects are not in CRZ, you know, some projects are about 20,000 square meter of, so it requires MOEF.
Right.
These are, like, I can go on and on, the number of permissions which it requires. Now, the problem is that, you know, with CRZ also, it is not just a one-stop window. It's like a window where you just go, you make an application, you know, they will scrutinize your project and give you the NOC. For just like one example, you just procure a CRZ. First, you go to MPCB, you get a NOC from there. Then you go to the collector. He will do a public hearing. After doing the public hearing, he will give you an NOC. You take both these NOCs. Then you go to Chennai. From Chennai, they will issue you a remark, a demarcation remark, which you mandatory have to do. With taking these 3 NOCs, then you submit it in the CRZ department. The CRZ department will not give you an appointment for the next 3 months. So you're basically sitting for 6 months for a CRZ approval. So people, when developers say, or when the society tenants say, members say that, you know, CRZ approval is what big thing, they are this, they are that. You know, he's such a big builder, he'll get it in 2 days, he'll get it in 15 days. It's not true. And I think we should not talk that kind of bullshit because it's misleading. And I think all these things, all these kind of compliances are quite, you know, tedious, and there are a lot of steps which needs to be taken. And every project needs to be looked at like that and not compared apple to apple.
Right. And just imagine a builder, just that cost of capital for 6 months.
Yes.
That interest meter that's running for someone,
Yes.
you know, from say private lenders, 6 months would be ridiculous.
Yes. And after that, you have to hear that you're slow.
Relentless, unforgiving. Now, coming to my next question, what is something that you hate about the industry? I know you obviously love real estate, but if you had to pick something that you genuinely hate about real estate and you wanted to, you know, perhaps improve.
I think the clarity in DCPR is something which is really required. You know,
more of it is just interpretation.
And so many times it has happened with me that, you know, we calculate our projects in a particular manner, which basically previously 50 developers have got that approval. But when I have put my file, there is some new guy sitting behind that table there, and he has a different mindset. He reads that line in a different manner. Right. And, you know, the outcome is different, which is a FSI generation loss for us.
Right.
So I think with the help of, you know, really good consultants like Milind, Yomesh, all of these people, they are really fighting hard to streamline these things, and they have, people like them have streamlined a lot. But I think those things, because, you know, when we enter a project, we are mentally prepared.
Yeah.
We're going to get screwed.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right.
In terms of its approval, you know, in terms of, you know, making the building, in terms of handling the tenants. But then, you know, we would at least deserve to know that, you know, what we have, you know, calculated the project at, we at least get that.
Right.
You know,
There's always that fear कि अभी कुछ होगा.
You know, till the time you don't have your CC issue,
Right.
जब तक FSI का डर रहता ही है कि कुछ ना कहीं कुछ कट जाएगा.
कुछ ना कुछ unforeseen होने वाला है.
कुछ कट जाएगा.
Right. Rishab, what is, according to you, one of the biggest mistakes a developer can make?
Biggest mistakes, I think, to go on hearsay. A lot of new developers, I think they're much more better developers than me in this industry, firstly. But a lot of new developers would depend on their consultants or would depend on their friends. It is, you cannot, you cannot depend on somebody saying that this plot's title is fine, or this project में 40 माले की building बनेगी. This is not, this is, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes most of the developers make.
Correct.
Because of the lack of knowledge, the lack of proof of work, what they do. I think you should be really thorough on these things and only then enter the arena. Otherwise, you're better outside.
Right. I think the DCR should be the
Yes.
Bible or Bhagavad Gita, whatever you want to call it.
Yes. Otherwise, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And at the end of it, as I said, that I would repeat that it all boils down to experience. If you have good experience in this industry, and it is just not about having money. You can have for a project cost of 50 crores. You should have the entire 50 crores with you in the bank account. You don't need to sell a single apartment. But if you don't know anything, you would end up spending 75 crores. It's because you wouldn't know where to spend. आज ये politician आया अच्छा है दे दो इसको. आज ये आया relation बना दो. It doesn't work like that. So I think that juvenileness needs to come out.
Correct. Right.
And you need to be that I'm a developer, I'm a businessman, and my profits are such, my margins are such, and not to be dependent on external, but do maximum of your paperwork on your own. If you're doing all your paperwork on your own, like I know so many big developers, who have an army of lawyers, in their office, in-house. But when it comes to a land conveyance or a development agreement or something, it's always at the end that the boss is sitting and he's reading and he's correcting. Because, they won't, they will never ever leave that job to somebody else.
Right.
They know the impact of that. They know the importance of that.
Right.
At the same time, if you just give it to a lawyer and just say, हाँ मेरा lawyer अच्छा है उसने कर दिया, then you are not fit for this.
It's very interesting. A very senior lawyer in a high court told me that developers and builders know their law inside out.
Yes. Yes.
So I think it's obviously a prerequisite.
I think to be a builder, that's what I said, that to be a builder, you need to be expert, just not in one domain. You need to be expert in all the domains which takes to complete a building. Right. Whether it is from being legal, whether it is being from architecture point of view, whether it is licensing point of view, whether it is contracting point of view, whether it is sales, whether it is marketing, you should know it all. You should know it all.
Rishab, I had an absolute blast, doing this episode. Got to learn a lot. Thank you so much for those insights.
Thank you.
Live first world insights into the industry that no college will teach you. Right. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you,
man.
man.
A real blast.
Thanks.
Thank you.